The Independent National Electoral Commission is one body that almost always have a hard time in winning the hearts of the confidence of majority of Nigerians. Now, the issue of inconclusive election is something that has been coming up regularly in the polity, especially when it comes to the governorship election. Now, it is not the first time that we're having inconclusive election as a result of cancelled votes. And in Osun's case, the margin between the two major parties is 353, while the cancelled ballots totaled 3,348. And INEC said it relied on the Electoral Act to declare it inconclusive. Welcome to Inside Story this week. I am Lilian Ogazi, and here with me in the studio to talk about Osun Election and issues surrounding it are two of Abuja's prominent editors, Abdulraham Abuldrauf of Blueprint and Emmauel Ogbeche of the Abuja Inquirer. You're welcome.
Thank you for having us.
It's been a while we've had both of you here on VTV.
Exactly.
Okay, now, not really changed, would I say? Okay, now, starting off with you, Abdulrahman, in your idea, what constitutes an inconclusive election?
Well, I think it's a very simple understanding. From the word itself, inconclusive, when something is not concluded, it simply means the process remains inconclusive. And I think that's the experience we just had in Osun, where INEC came up to tell us that the election there was inconclusive. And that has remained a very serious subject of controversy among Nigerians and even non-Nigerians alike.
Okay, do you agree with him, or you have a different idea, Emmauel, on what constitutes an inconclusive election?
Well, I think to have an inconclusive election, if we go by the 1999 Constitution as amended, is very specific that where a candidate scores less than 1/3 in 2/3 of the constituencies or wards in an election, and specifically in section 179(2), it is clearly stated when an election should be declared inconclusive or when a candidate cannot be declared a winner.
Okay.
You understand? So I find it very untenable that the Electoral Commission, that is the INEC, would use a guideline contrary to the spirit and letter of the 1999 Constitution as amended, to rely on a guideline when the Constitution in Part 1, Section 1, Sub 3, is very, no, 3, yeah, Part 1, Section 1, 3, that any law that is inconsistent with the provisions of the Constitution and to the degree of its inconsistency is declared null and void. Because in Part 1 and Section 1 of the Constitution, it says that the Constitution is supreme and every other individual must subscribe to the letter and spirit of the Constitution. So I think we will deal with that when we proceed. Okay,
now you're talking about the Constitution now.
Yes.
What does the Electoral Act have to say about the whole inconclusive election?
Well, there is no specific section, to my knowledge, that I have seen, because INEC based its decision on its guideline. You understand? That gives, INEC is basing its decision on the authority of the Electoral Act that gives it the leverage to make guidelines for an election. You understand? And in this instance, it is leveraging on Section N, Paragraph 4, pages 22 to 23, yes, of that guideline to decide on what an inconclusive election means. The Electoral Act does not have, I have not seen, probably I missed it, and if so, I hope my editor here will guide me appropriately. There is no clear guidelines or section in the Electoral Act that gives the INEC in black and white that you can declare an election inconclusive. Even from its own press statement, it relied on its guideline, basing its authority that the Electoral Act has given it to determine how elections should be conducted.
Okay. Now, back to you, Abdulraham. Do you agree with what he says, or you have something to add to?
Yeah. I think it's, it's on course, because, like you rightly said, INEC. I want to believe INEC is relying more on morality than legality.
Why did you say so?
Yes, you see, of the 7 units, if you're looking at the 7 units, when you look at the volume of votes they are cancelling in these 7 units, one would tend to agree with the body that there appears to be, you'll be disenfranchising those people. And that's the question of morality. But when you're talking of legality, it is very straight, where there's a simple majority, irrespective of whether the vote is 1 or 2 or the number of votes. I think you just go ahead and they declare the result. But for me, if the party concerned, that's talking of the PDP now, the party that is feeling probably shortchanged, probably they will have headed for the court for an interpretation of that section of the Constitution dwelling on that majority. What constitutes simple majority? Okay. That would have been a saving grace for them. But now that they decided to go ahead with the election, I'm not too sure what is likely to come out of that contest. And when you look at Osumba versus Emmauel in 2007, the court rightly declared that nullified votes are not sufficient ground to quash or to make an election inconclusive. So why and how INEC is coming up with this position, I think the legal unit should know best, and I'm sure it's going to be an interesting scenario as when it gets the discussion unfolds.
Okay, now would you agree, Abdulrahman, would you agree that this whole inconclusive elections are as a result of a stronger and a better electoral process in Nigeria?
If you ask me, I would definitely say yes. Okay. There appears to be some level of consciousness. 1, on the part of the electorate. 2, they are giving the politicians, a lot of, they are giving them some challenges in terms of, if you want our votes, come for us. I mean, irrespective of the allegation of vote buying and what have you, alleged to be going on in most of our elections. But the fact still remains that we're having inconclusive elections. It shows certain things are happening. It shows no party is going to take the people for granted. No leader should take the people for granted. That's to tell you that, well, tomorrow we can edge you out. Arabeshola was there for 8 years. One would not have expected that it was going to be a very stiff contest, between the PDP candidate and his APC counterpart. So on the part of the electorate, I think there's increasing awareness. But the question of why and how we have a conclusive election is what, will be unraveled at the tribunal and possibly at the Court of Appeal. I don't know if the case gets to Supreme Court these days.
Now, how about you, Ogbeche? Do you agree that it's as a result of better electoral process?
Yes, I will agree to an extent, because the electorate seem to be more aware of the powers they have, and like he rightly observed, for an incumbent party to be struggling in an election, that should be a walkover. It is a referendum on your performance. And going forward, I think every other politician, especially those that have occupied offices or are in office now, should be very wary that if you have failed to deliver, the people will certainly, have a referendum on you through the ballot. But for me, the fact still remains that the INEC or the political parties should have gone to court to test our laws, and in the process will strengthen our laws. Since 2015, the INEC has evolved, and they are getting better, because by and large, other than the fact that this election was declared inconclusive at the last minute, every other procedure of the INEC was fantastic. We had a situation where, as at 8 a.m., in some of the polling units. INEC officials were already on ground. You know, accreditation started almost simultaneously. And I think if the INEC continues like this, it will inspire people to come out to vote. But the nature of the declaration at the end of the day seemed to have solved the matter.
True that. Now, let us look at the Osun election properly.
Yes.
Now, there, with you, Emmanuel, now there are suggestions that it was not different from the recent Kogi by-election where an outright winner was declared. Now, what do you think? Do you agree with that?
You see, that is the matter we've debated severally outside here, that INEC has been consistently inconsistent. You understand? Because if in Kogi, where you had over 12,000 invalid votes in that rerun pool, one would have expected the INEC to have declared the election inconclusive.
Yes.
Because it was very obvious that the difference between the first place and the second place candidate in that election, that is the APC and the PDP, was 12,000. And the question remains, where was INEC's electoral election guideline in this instance? You get it? Now you went back to rely on the Constitution to declare a winner. And the element of bias has persisted. Most Nigerians have wondered why an electoral umpire that should be impartial, you understand, seem to have taken side with a particular political party, and in this instance, the ruling All Progressives Congress. But that is a matter for the opposition party to challenge in court. And when you do not test our laws in court, you do not strengthen the process. That is the point. Strengthen the process by going to court, because when there is a pronouncement, we all take it that, okay, that is what the law says and that is how it should operate. But the PDP did not challenge it. Even in this Osun election, one is still not certain that the PDP went to court to challenge what they have been crying foul over. It is not enough to always threaten and issue statements. The courts are there. It is the final arbiter in every matter that has to do with the law, where there is contention. So one will expect that going forward, we will see where there are infractions by the electoral body, that political parties, whether the ruling party, the opposition party, whichever party, will test it.
Okay, Abdulrahman, do you agree with the fact that the electoral body tends to tilt towards the ruling party at the moment when it comes to concluding their election results?
Well, that's going to be a very difficult one for me. Difficult in the sense that, you see, I really sympathize with Mahmoud Yakubu-led INEC, because he's coming at a time when Nigerians are increasingly getting aware of their rights.
Exactly.
Increasingly, I mean, these are some of the things that had happened in the past, and they were left unchallenged. So when you want to accuse him of the commission of being biased, I think that would be a very hasty conclusion.
Okay.
Right? Yes, there are insinuations that the commission is taking side, but like we have agreed, you know, on this platform, that let us test the laws. If you don't test the laws will not be there for you. Court is no Father Christmas. If you don't approach the court for certain things, you won't. I had expected that on the strength of that Edo election, which the current APC chairman, national chairman, which favored the current APC national chairman, I would have expected the PDP group. So just move to the court. If the PDP had gone to the court, probably we will not be having this election now. The court would have said, okay, stop the election. Then let us look into the facts.
Yeah.
So, and they will come up with a position. They will give it a very speedy trial. But the PDP is there relaxing. Now, in the couple of maybe about an hour ago, the PDP candidate is been crying foul. He said it is more of a coup than voting in Osun. So that means the man he has readily conceded defeat. That his supporters were being harassed, then why did you go into the contest? Especially when you felt you had a good case. So in this wise, I think it's a lesson for the PDP. Let them try, or generally for the politicians, whenever there are issues, you don't wait and allow that issue to pass by before. Look at the case of Silva and Dixon. Dixon participated in the run, and by the time he was coming up, they simply told him that for you to have participated in this run, it means you had nullified your votes, then you had equally nullified your petition. Simplicity, that's all. And the case remains. And Dixon is Dixon today is the governor of Bayelsa State, because Silva participated in that rerun. That would have been a major lesson for them. I hope they must have learned their lesson in a very hard way.
Okay, yeah, now still talking about the whole inconclusive election and going to court issue now. Would you say that there's a lacuna in the electoral law? Share with this issue where you find them being reluctant going to court, or just sitting back and allowing whatever decision comes up go forward? So do you think there's a lacuna in the electoral law regarding inconclusive election?
No. There is no lacuna, probably because it is not spelled very clearly. If you read the provisions of Section 1792, that talks about how a governor or how a candidate can be declared a governor based on an election, it states that you must have had the highest number of valid votes cast. Then it goes on to talk about the spread of the votes, you understand, in a constituency or in a state which you must obtain. That at least you must have 2/3, right, across all of the 25% at least minimum in areas where you do not win. So it is very clear what the Constitution says. It like Editor here said, our politicians are laid back. They do not follow legal precedents. Now we've had a series of legal precedents in which you can rely on to make your case, but they have not taken up any of those legal precedents. You understand, where you feel you have been cheated, where you feel there have been infractions by the Electoral Commission. You know, how many years ago, almost 11 years ago, in the matter of Oshomole versus Osumbo, where the Court of Appeal rightly held that invalid votes cannot, nullify an election. Nobody has decided to take that on. The issue of Silva, like he rightly mentioned also, of Silva and the incumbent governor of Bayelsa, Dixon. The matter was settled when Silva was trying to say, to challenge it. Then they said you participated, the court held that you participated in this election. If you did not participate, then we would have said, okay, you have a genuine case, but that means you accepted the process. And so you cannot now detract yourself from a process which you willingly entered into. So one had expected that the PDP feeling that they have been cheated, of their victory, would have stayed away from the polls, ordered their people to boycott the election, approach the court and say, listen, these are the merits of our case. And the court will look at it. If there are merits in what they have brought, then the court will make a decision. Okay.
Abdulrahman, do you agree to what he said?
Of course. It's at the risk of restating the obvious. You see, the fact remains. It's a statement of fact that these politicians are good at outsmarting themselves.
Yes.
When they say there are cases of vote buying, always to do no. It's not a matter of vote buying. It's not a matter of vote buying, but it's a matter of one outbuying the other. So one party must have succeeded in this election, for instance, in outbuying the voters, or in buying the other party. So that exactly is what is happening. But when you look at, let me quickly say one thing. When you look at the election, the Osun election being an isolated case like Ekiti, and a few others, generally attracts attention.
Oh.
Now, I look at it from the point of deployment of police, from the point of deployment of armored vehicles, from the point of deployment of patrol vehicles, 300 patrol vehicles, 40,000 police personnel, 30 or 40 APC. APC, that's I'm talking of
armored
carriers. The simple question now that came up in everybody's mind, are we at war? Is so the ruling party in a way, I think, simply gave itself out as moving into that place to capture, because the presence of 40,000 policemen, for instance, is enough to even scare me as a so-called educated person. I may decide not to come out. No, I don't want any problem, because the tendency is that people will have that belief that, well, with this large retinue of police personnel, even if you move from one point to the other, rightly, the tendency is that you'll be arrested.
Sure.
And be accused of trying to disrupt the process. Then nobody is there for you. So when you look at that on its own was too large for the Osun election. If you ask me, it was just too large. There are better ways of manning these things. I think it's just a lesson for our security personnel. They should not be deploying. If you are deploying to Osun, when it comes to 2019, what's going to happen?
What's going to happen? Yeah.
I mean, will you deploy to Abuja? Will you deploy to Kano, to Cross River, to Rivers, to Kwara, to Kano? I mean, so we should be able to ask ourselves, is it the number of personnel that will win the election, or the level of awareness among voters? For me, if you ask me, I will still insist that voters were not freely allowed to. When you look at the number, the percentage of the total registered voters,
1.3 million.
and how many voted?
How many voted?
Less than 600,000 naira there. Sorry,
600,000.
less than 600,000 or thereabouts. So there is bound to be voter apathy because of this attitude. You don't need that retinue of policemen to watch over that kind of election.
So you spoke,
it will be discouraging.
No, of course. You spoke about vote buying. Now, looking at the Osun election, there was little or no issue surrounding vote buying. Would you say INEC took a step forward or learned their lesson from Ekiti?
It depends on where you are, and depends on what you.
Exactly.
It depends on what you saw or what you see.
Okay.
Right. Just the day before yesterday, a party chieftain was accused. Of course, an APC chieftain was accused of, moving to a particular location where the run was to take place, and gave the would-be voters 20,000 naira each, with a promise that on the D-Day you get the balance of
80,000.
30.
Okay.
30,000. So 50,000 naira per vote. And are you telling me, given the level of poverty in the land, people will not rush? I want to tell that person that don't say your right. What's the meaning of right in the face of hunger? So in the case of Osun, we may not have seen open vote buying like we saw in Ekiti. But I think the case was still obtainable in Osun. And that it became reduced showed that INEC has in a way stepped up. And I think they should be given some level of credit.
Okay. Now, regarding Ogbeche, you want to add to?
No, there's nothing much to say.
Okay, now, can we attribute the high rate of cancelled votes to the use of card reader and new technology? Can we attribute the high rate of cancelled vote to that, Ogbeche?
No, not exactly, because it's about voter awareness, about knowing that the indelible ink can spread when you don't have handle your ballot paper properly. Because we still need to educate voters that the indelible ink, once it splashes outside, if you've templated for a particular party, and in the process of handling it, your ink, gets to some other slots, yes, on the ballot, it automatically invalidates your vote. So it's about voter education, because what the card reader basically does is to bring out your information to show that actually you're duly registered and you're this person with the ballot, with the permanent voter's card, because your picture shows and it matches, and your fingerprint also synchronizes with what is on the machine. For me, I still commend the INEC for that technology, but the only worry I still have is the fact that you have to wait for very long to get your permanent voter's card, when you can easily walk into any bank and come out with an ATM that you can use in any part of this country. You get it? So why can't we just have a readily made permanent voter's card that contains my information and my biodata, and I can vote anywhere I am?
Okay, well, for now, we'll just hold a thought on that and we'll go on a really quick break, and when we return, Inside Story continues. Stay. You're welcome back. It's still Inside Story here on PTV, and I am Lilian Ogazi, and with me I still have Emmauel Ogbeche and Abdulraham Abuldrauf, and we're talking about the Osun election. It's glad to still have you guys here anyway.
Thank you.
So now, Ogbeche, let's look at the SDP candidates. Emmauel Ogbeche, he was a central figure in the run-up to the rerun.
Yes.
Now, is he that strong a factor?
Well, he is. Ogbeche is a seasoned politician that has his own controversies and a whole lot of baggage. But when it comes to the crunch hour as it is, as we have in Osun, is a factor. But his electoral value, for me, is not as much as it has been hyped. When you take into cognizance that the deputy governorship candidate of the PDP is from Ife, where he hails from. The reason why Ogbeche, in my thinking, had the number of votes he had in Ife is simply because his people felt, okay, if we can get the plum job of the deputy governor, why should we settle for a deputy? But after he scored 127,000 plus or 28. Okay, 128,000 plus votes. After the election, it's become very obvious that he is no longer in contention. Left for the people of Ife, where majority of the votes, are domiciled in this rerun. The simple question will be, we have another son that is in contention to become deputy governor, and we have a son that could not make it, to become governor. Which do we settle for? Do we settle for a man that has been promised personal, they have been given conditions that will not necessarily translate to the common good of our people, or the one that is within touch, of the plum job of a deputy governor? So, by and large, the ruling APC in the state and the opposition PDP were desperate, and as a result of that, they could clutch at anything that would give them the semblance that with this person on our side, or with this factor, on our side, we could jolly well win the election. But I am very optimistic that the people will vote either their conscience or the money that they have collected in the obnoxious trend that is persisting, that is vote buying. That is what will necessarily determine who wins this election.
Yeah, we hope the people will vote for their conscience. Now, back to you, Abdulrahman, still talking about the candidates. Is it surprised that Ademola Adeleke could do so well to lead the candidate of the ruling party, considering his relative political experience?
Yeah, I think Ademola Adeleke when the PDP, I must confess, when the PDP propped him up as its candidate, the question I asked, was, is it all about Adeleke in Osun State? For God's sake, when the senior brother passed on, they gave him that benefit of taking over the seat in the Senate. And again, when it was time for governorship, the man was still propped up. And lo and behold, I was proved wrong by the outcome of the contest. It means, it's all about popularity. Democracy is about majority, is about popularity. It still shows that man, no matter what my, excuse me, no matter what my thoughts are, that man is popular in Osun politics. The Adelekes are popular in Osun politics. And that has just shown one thing. Because what people thought initially was the dancing senator. Oh, I used sure people will take him. And look at what really happened. One would have thought APC will, whitewash the opponent. Yeah. But look at the contest. So keen. Neck-to-neck kind of a contest. So when that came up, I now knew that, yes, the incumbent ruling party was in for a trouble. And that's why they needed to do everything. Well, people say desperation. For me, as far as I'm concerned, it's not desperation on the part of APC. When you see the Fayemi, Ajimobi, Ganduje, Amosun, Lai Mohammed, Deputy Governor of Osun State, Deputy Speaker of Osun State, as well as the National Chairman of APC. Including the SGF. All of them moving to, because Omisore was the bride of the moment. And everybody needed to cut his favor. If you don't cut his favor, you'll be doing so at your own peril. And they felt that nothing will be too much. Of course, what went under me, I want to believe, will be laid bare in the course of time. Yes, because exactly. We are watching. Nigerians are watching. Mm-hmm. No, nothing should be sacrificed for the anti-corruption stance of this administration. So we are told. There won't be sacred cows. But I think from Obanikoro...
We have a lot of sacred cows going on.
From Obanikoro to the Uncommon Transformer. And now we have another one in Osun. Let's see what happens. But that they lobbied Omisore, just like Sarakitu did. I'm sure the man must have settled for the best of the lobbyists. Saraki went there, he lobbied. APC went with its own team and also lobbied. And at the end of the day, it's a matter of choice. He told the world that any party that is ready to implement its own programs, I don't know where that is done anyway, its own that's SDP's program, then you follow. And that explains why he'll be following APC. the APC. And the Yoruba, they say, it is the person that have the steel that you take the pap to. Exactly. So they have the steel, and readily is taking his own pap to them in APC. The PDP does not have it.
Do you have anything to add to what he has said?
No, he's captured it very aptly, you know. But I'm still optimistic that the people will vote according to their conscience. Okay. Yes, politics is about winning. And in this part of the world, we win very ugly. And it also underscores a very troubling issue that we do not make decisions based on programs and policies. You know, we make our decisions basically based on primordial sentiments. Is it from my area? What do I stand to benefit as a community or as an individual first? You get it? We do not weigh people's programs and policies. Like he rightly said, how can my party adopt the 5 pillars of your party if you were in this election? Well, you're not going to be part of government. You understand? No, even if we were to sign agreement, it might not become binding because it was done in moments of desperation and it will not hold to scrutiny eventually. So let's see how it goes.
Okay, now away from the candidate, away from Osun election now, Ogbeche, beyond this issue of inconclusive election, how would you rate INEC's performance last Saturday?
Yeah, I said earlier that INEC performed well. I wouldn't say very well because there are some issues that still need to be resolved. Barring the inconclusive nature of the election, I would say INEC has about 80%.
Okay, that's good.
Still needs to do 20% more because electoral materials were on time. We didn't have a situation where ballot papers were stuffed into ballot boxes, eventually. We've not had a situation where electoral officials are accused of having collected money to pervert the course. Even the single incident where an individual went to remove, an INEC official went to remove names of, electorate from board, that has been explained. And I do not think that is in contention anymore because even the PDP has not raised the issue after the explanation. So INEC is improving, but it must ensure that it remains impartial at all times.
Okay.
That is very crucial. That it should work within the ambit of the electoral law, but most fundamentally the Constitution. Because any subsidiary legislation that you base your decisions on cannot hold scrutiny when we go to court. The Constitution remains a ground norm. And for me, the INEC must continue to look at what the Constitution says in making its decision. So what it has done in Osun, if today goes well, you understand, then I would say that we are nearing a situation where the INEC is fantastic. Besides, there is no perfect elections anywhere in the world.
How about Roman? Do you agree with his 80% score of INEC's
Yes,
rating?
when you look at the leadership of the commission, this is a man that has, is a man that has his integrity intact. He is an academic of world repute, and is equally conscious of history as a historian himself. And when you look at what INEC did with some of its staff who were accused of one sharp practice or the other, you cannot but agree with me that I think the commission is trying to tell the whole world that whatever we are doing, we want to do it transparently because we know the people will hold us to account. And they are quite conscious of that. You look at the way people were taking money, shortly after 2015 elections, the staggered election, how they were making, before now, I think, even before Jega, even under Jega, the truth is, when elections are coming up, every Nigerian, whether you are INEC or a politician, is just a moment of, let us make our down. It is only it's only the journalists that are not too...
Yes, talking about the journalists.
They are not too favored. But seriously speaking, people who thought they could make money working in INEC are now disappointed because they are just sending them to gulags. Okay. And I hope they will come out to tell their story.
Okay, very quickly before we go, I'll start with you now to get your opinion as well. Now, Abdulrahman, how would you assess the media coverage so far on issues surrounding the election? Do you think as journalists we have been fair enough on all sides or to all sides?
First and foremost, let me just point out that in every profession there are black legs. But generally speaking, if you ask me, the media has not done badly in the issue of election coverage. I think the major issue we have always had with politicians is that there are certain things you report about them which is going to affect their electoral fortune. They wouldn't, even though the issue involved is genuine, they would not want it reported. And I'm not too sure the media can compromise. That would be a very difficult one. But outside of that, yes, there may be some one or two inadequacies, but that's not to rubbish the entire media constituency. Okay. So the media has been doing tremendously well in terms of election coverage and even the processes of election.
How about you? How would you assess our coverage in our reportage so far?
Well, if you say I should put it on a scale of 1 to 10, I'll put it at 8.5. No, seriously, because you cannot accuse the media of being biased. We've reported all sides. You know, if there are infractions on any of the major contenders, the only worry I have is that the smaller parties or the small parties have not been given adequate coverage as they ought to. Because going by the provisions of the law, every party is supposed to have equal opportunity, equal airtime, equal coverage. You get it? But we've not seen. But it might not necessarily be the fault of the media, because when you do not trust yourself out there, you know, for questions to be asked or raise issues as they ought to, then you cannot hold anybody but yourself to blame. So we have acquitted ourselves very well.
Okay, no problem. Thank you very much for coming on the show. Well, it's been an interesting one and we really have to go because of time. But I appreciate your contributions. I'm sure it has educated Nigerians a lot to have a different perspective of INEC and electoral process generally in Nigeria. Well, that's the much we can take here on Inside Story this week. I'm going to see you again, same time, same station next week. Do have a great week.